Hey everybody, it's me, Remy the Comic Book Poser. I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poseverse. My computer's already stopped mid-recording this video twice, so to see if I make it through my top 5-ish comics of last week's New Comic Book Day, that if you missed out, you should pick them up on this week's New Comic Book Day. We'll come see how bad I am at counting to 5 after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Quite bad at counting to 5. I got 9 books that I'm into this week, but I do want to point out, see if I can drop it over here. I announced on Instagram over the weekend that I'm going to give something away at 1,250 subscribers, that I am going to give away the Blacklight Spider-Man Pop Tea combo, which is pretty hard to find, especially if you want the shirt and you're a tub-tubs like me. That it's a 2XL. It's a cool pop, but I know there are bigger spider heads than me out there. So let's talk books. I got 4 honorable mentions this week, and I'll try and be quick. So honorable mention number 1 is That Texas Blood number 9. It is by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. We really get a deeper dive into what was happening in Texas in 1981, as we were looking at the, investigation of the cult, the disappearance of the girl, the other people who they thought what were presumed dead. Very interesting all over the place. I like how there's a real-time conversation between the sheriff and his deputy about darkness that haunts their past, where you see that she is as screwed up from something that happened in her childhood. But it was interesting to see how kind of darkness guides them through their decision to be law enforcement officers. Honorable mention number 2 is Batman Reptilian number 3. This is by Garth Ennis and Liam Sharp are on the art. And again, I am just loving how dark and creepy that this series of Batman is. I think this is only a 6-issue miniseries, but I hope it's more than that. It's dark, it's twisted, it's reminiscent of, 80s, like Batman 89, that it's just got that kind of feel in it that you don't get in some of the other Batman series. So, very, very good. If you're not checking this out and you like darker Batman, you should definitely hop on this bandwagon. Honorable mention number 3 is The United States of Captain America number 3. The 2 writers on this, as there are 2 stories, are Christopher Cantwell and Little Badger. I really enjoy the premise of this story, that Captain America is not just, Steve Rogers. It is the symbolism of the suit, of the shield, of all of those things, and that, Captain America can be anyone to any, or it can be anything to anyone, anywhere. And I really like this issue. Again, it takes place in Kansas, and not just in Kansas, but the 2 landmarks that it picks are in the city I teach in, that you've got the Brown versus Board of Education site, where it was the right name of the Supreme Court case that led to school desegregation, and then something happens on a very accurate rendering of the state capitol building. But I like how this is inclusive of, an indigenous person, kind of talking about how Captain America can mean something to him or his culture as well. And I really think the Little Badger story highlights that in quite a beautiful way, of how, for a group that we tend to either think about through a, glass case historical perspective, where we just look at, what it means to be an indigenous person historically, or they get overlooked, right, as westward expansion and, white European domination of the American, North American continent happens, that he can take this mantle of Captain America and make it something that is inclusive and meaningful to him and his people as well. So, 2 very excellent stories in there, and again, this series is just very unique, and it's a very fun read to see how the helm of Captain America is donned in different situations throughout the different books. And then our last honorable mention, of course, I would be remiss for not mentioning Something is Killing the Children number 19, by James Tynion, Werther Daldera, and Mikel Muerto. This is the book where we start to get to see what the actual trial looks like of inducting somebody into the Order of St. George. We get some good dialogue back and forth between representatives in the black and the white masks about the roles that they play, and questions of whether or not Erica would survive this ordeal, as young as she is and as relatively as inexperienced as she is. So, very good, very interesting setup to what I think will happen in kind of the next phase of her coming of age in book 20. Getting down to 5 books was quite difficult, right? Not just because I had, 9 to start with, but because of the 30 new books that I read this week. I could have gone for 15 or 20 of them and talked about why I like them and where I thought they would end up in the rankings, but here we are for our top 5 of the week. And coming in at number 5 from Image Comics is Vinyl number 3. This is by Doug Wagner, Daniel Hilliard, Dave Stewart, and Ed Dukeshire. So we've got, the creepy tale of the serial killer who's helping investigate the cult to free the FBI agent from it. And I think if I've said it before, or if I haven't said it before, if you really like the insanity that kind of played out in the Nailbiter or Nailbiter Returns universe, then I think you will have an appreciation for this book, especially as it seems that there's some kind of, weird gamesmanship that's being played. There are a couple of things in here that I would love to show, but I think it gets a little too graphic in this one. But I do like to start to see kind of the significance that our main character, the serial killer, kind of talks about with the records that somebody has given him one, but he hasn't earned it yet. And what becomes super interesting is the last 2 pages when we find out some of the additional demons that may be plaguing him and what really the role is he may be playing in all of this. So, good story. It's only 3 issues in, so if you like creepy murder, serial killer, horror stuff, pick this one up. Coming in at number 4 from Valiant is Ninjak number 2, and it's by Jeff Parker and Javier Pulido. I talked about in the weekly poll video that I just kind of like seeing the breath of fresh air that Valiant is giving into these characters that really brought them, through the 90s into today. And one of the things that just really pulls me into the book is, how crazy action-packed this book is, contrasted with the art style that, any other high-action comic that I'm reading looks more lifelike and, more bloody and gory and violent, right? Kind of like... but I kind of like seeing that more cartoony element to it, that it almost feels like the art style from whoever did Rain Like Hammers. That makes it very intriguing to me. That I know FOC for issue number 3 was last week, but I'm definitely in for this, and then Harbinger is coming out, I think, towards the end of September. So if you want to jump on a good old Valiant character from square one, then that's something that you may want to pick up. But we're only 2 issues in here, and it's just a fun story. Coming in at number 3 from Image is Echolands number 1. And I read the description of this book, and I figured it was the kind of story that was for me. And then what just really kind of blew me away is the art in here, that you get some sci-fi, you get some like little elements of like cyberpunk kind of feel to it, just from some of the things that are going on. And then when we find out the powers of the woman in red, again, this is a panel that I want to show, but it is incredibly too violent. So I'll just, say that there's this scene in Wayne's World where Wayne leaves Garth and he comes back from a commercial break, and one of the guys in the booth goes, "You remember that scene in Scanners where the dude's head blew up?" And Garth is just sitting there going, This is like that scene in Scanners where the dude's head blew up. And when I saw that artistically, I went, yes, please. I'm super intrigued to pick up. There's a director's cut or an expanded edition of number 1 coming out in a couple weeks. I think just before issue 2 comes out, but definitely check that out if you haven't. Coming in at number 2 from Vault Comics is Barbaric number 3, and I did not know that this was the end of the first arc. It is by Michael Morici, Nathan Gooden on the art, and Addison Duke on the colors, and Jim Campbell on the letters. But if you're not aware, the premise of this book is you have a barbarian who is traveling with a witch, and he's got his axe, which talks to him and tells him what to do and offers excellent color commentary on the battle. The comparison that is obviously there is to the ongoing Scout title, same as Talking Gun, because you have the same kind of phenomenon. But this feels like, weird 90s, like, badass heavy metal should be playing in the background, right? But the battle sequences are epic, right? The pull quote on the front of astonishingly good is a very good way to kind of wrap this all up. And for being only 3 issues in and it being the end of the arc, what they are teasing for the next book is already ridiculously interesting in terms of looking at the next type of foe that we should expect to see. There's a nice letter in the back, but I'm already excited because as I want to start increasing the number of hardcover editions that I have, hell yes, I want the Big Axe hardcover, because it's just very, very good. That I've enjoyed this series from Jump, and I can't wait until the second arc begins. And then there was one. This book shook me from the moment I got to page number 2 or 3, because I was instantly reminded what happened in the previous issue, and I knew it would be something that would be somewhat triggering or kind of hitting close to home to me in a scary way. So your book of the week is Made in Korea number 4 from Image Comics. It's written by Jeremy Holt, George Shaw, and Adam Wollett. So we know that our young AI woman has been, hanging out and become good friends with these 2 trench coat laden dudes, and you just know that it's an allusion to the kids that shot up Columbine. And just 2-3 pages in, you find out that there is a school shooting happening. You find out that the AI construct child takes offense to finding out that she's been used, and she takes vengeance. You get a lot of the panic of what is happening in that kind of situation. You get doubled down with the fear of AI, right? Because there are at times people who think that she may be the perpetrator of this. And then, yet again, we see the scientist who's kind of rebuffed from her and the family in issues 2 and 3 come back and see what kind of bigger significance that he may play in the continuation of this story. The build throughout the first 4 issues of this series has just been intriguing. The execution has been near perfection, and it's invoking emotions that I didn't think I would, necessarily feel from the premise of issue number 1, where it's like, hey, what if you had an AI baby? But it's really, really good. And I really enjoyed it a lot, and I'm gonna read it again probably when I'm done recording this video, because that's how good it is. So what did you think? What kind of books made the top end of your list? As always, if you're here live, then you'll probably let me know over here in the chat. If not, and you're on the rewind, then you'll probably let me know in the comments down below. But as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.